Ladies and gentlemen, hello from the MLG studios here in New York City, and welcome back to the winter season Showdowns. We have best of fives pretty much every single day, again, live at 5 p.m. Eastern. If you haven't had the chance to catch it live, definitely try to do it. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Not really, but it is awesome to catch it live, of course. 5 p.m. Eastern every single day, pretty much. Best of fives between the best players in the world in Heart of the Swarm to determine who gets that spot at the Winter Championships. This is Rain versus Flying. They're tied 1-1. Let's get right into game number 3. It's going to be on Cloud Kingdom.
Quite a tense match so far. I mean, both players taking a game, and you know, they both won their games comfortably in the last 5 minutes of said games. But like the way they interacted with each other earlier in the game bespoke of just like two giants struggling, and then it's almost like watching two great jiu-jitsu guys fight or something. And it's like, what's really when you catches your eye is the last couple seconds, when someone just gets clobbered, but really there is that intense positional struggle and decision making.
Yeah,
it is, and that's these guys are really excelling.
It's really it's honestly really fascinating and entertaining to watch these guys, do their thing. I mean, if we're talking about the first 2 games, there's not like one moment that defined it or whatever. Like a lot of it, as you said before, has been, what have these guys been doing as the game goes along, as far as, okay, how are they timing out their expansions? How are they denying their opponent's expansions? Where are they positioning their armies? How are they threatening their opponent? How are they making their opponent feel scared, while at the same time taking little advantages throughout the game? It's really cool to watch. Such an awesome series we have on our hands. Of course, let's introduce players. In the top right-hand location, we have the blue Protoss player, Flying from Team Woonjin Stars. His opponent is in the bottom left-hand location, arguably one of the best Protoss players in the world. He's the red Protoss player, Rain from Team SK Telecom T1.
So both players, Rain scouting, Flying is actually neglecting to scout. Flying over here, he's doing what I actually like better. As much as often, so when I play PvP, I often scout, but like I always feel I shouldn't have, because the idea is you have a build that's solid enough, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And PvP, more than any other matchup, each worker counts so much that it actually it's a noticeable, like that. Maybe your build's like 10 seconds slower because you scouted, and those 10 seconds, they matter.
It's important.
I mean, if you're engaging, let's say the 10 seconds means your opponent warps in a cycle, then attacks you, and then you have to fight them for like 5 seconds of battle before you can warp in your segment. Those 5 seconds, they've got a lot more guys. And then they get an extra kill, and now you're down a unit, and then you become down 2 units, and it can really steamroll over.
It's actually a pretty interesting phenomenon there. I mean, like when I first started playing Heart of the Swarm, it's like, okay, I would send a probe to scout, but it's hard. It's like a new game, so what am I even scouting for? It's so interesting how reactions change as a game changes as well, because let's say you scout a cybernetics core being chrono boosted. Do you get a mothership core out a little bit faster, so you have that photon overcharge available? Just lots of interesting things to think about, and we're starting to see these players deviate into their tech paths. We have Rain going for that Twilight Council.
And Flying, he's actually not going for a tech path quite yet, going for a very fast expansion. I love this build. You just crank out sentries to get the expansion. You use hallucination to scout. Of course, we're going to see the robotics bait. Actually, he's getting gateways before Robo. Interesting. I usually see people get the Robo and then more gateways in the sacked expansion against aggression. Flying, though, I guess he wants these units out a little bit extra early.
Yep, just gonna want those warp gates as fast as possible here. Gonna forego that Robo a little bit. And Rain's going for that Dark Shrine. This is something we saw in Game 1 from Flying. Rain's like, you know what, that looked pretty cool. I'm gonna try it myself. And he also sees this expansion. So this is like deja vu from Game 1, except opposing sides, pretty much.
Definitely the roles are switched. Of course, Flying's expansion build is a little different than the one Rain used. A little bit faster, more sentries, less stalkers. And that's going to give him some extra force fields to play with on defense. Maybe he can catch a stalker kill or 2 here. He does have that mothership core out quite early as well, and that's going to have photon overcharge in just about a minute.
Here come the stalkers from Rain, taking some damaging those shields a little bit, and this is going to be a tricky decision from Rain. How much do you invest in trying to kill that Nexus? Look at that great force field here from Flying. The stalker's going to try to target down the sentries. Guardian Shield going down, but the Stalker's slowly being picked apart one by one. And Flying, I think he's going to be relatively okay with this.
He is. I mean, trading 3 sentries for 4 stalkers is what happened there. And, you know, when you're, like, playing against Zerg, you're like, oh, I can't lose any sentries. But in PvP, the stalkers are worth probably just as much. And if you can deny your opponent the power to really do aggression early, that's a huge benefit to you. Ooh, nice force field there. Doesn't want to let those DTs get in the main, because if they got in there and focused on that robotics, that could be the death of Flying. Of course, can he get that Observer out in time to save the Nexus?
He's not attacking with one of the DTs. He's sending one of his DTs into his opponent's main base. And will this Nexus fall? The Observer is actually very close to being on the way. And the DT just running away from that Nexus.
I think he figured he wanted to risk going for one to preserve the DT life, because if that DT in the front stays alive, if Flying sends Observer back, exactly what happens here. DT comes in and tries to get a Nexus kill. Unfortunately, Flying was a step ahead of Rain there. Knew that DT was still out there, so did not retreat that Observer to protect his main. Said, you know what? I'll take some damage. I'll get a second Observer and eventually clear this up. And he is going to clear this up, but in the meantime, I mean, he's taken a lot of probe losses, and Rain has got his expansion halfway done. He's got a nice tech pass set up. He's got, you know, Twilight Council, Dark Shrine. I don't know. This is such a tightly close game here. Both players really kind of so much craziness happened at open there, but I don't even know if anyone got a decisive advantage or not, which is rare in PvP in a situation like this.
Well, Rain is up in Harvesters here.
Oh, yeah,
34 to 24. So that's a pretty significant advantage. Definitely getting a lot of damage over DTs. Now, if we talk about, all right, what if he killed this natural expansion Nexus, which if he controlled a little bit better or made a little bit different decision making, he could have. You know, how much further ahead he would be. But as it stands, I do think he is pretty far ahead in this game, as you know, Flying's forced to try to churn out that pro production once again. But I mean, anything can happen at this point. It's not like one player has won, but I still think that Rain has a slight advantage here.
Oh yeah, I mean that's definitely the state. I didn't realize the probe damage is quite that extensive, and of course there's a tech advantage as well. Now coming to the main with the Warp Prism, unloading the Dark Templar. How much more damage can he do? Flying cannot afford to lose any more probes. 1 goes down, 2 goes down. 3 go down, but you know, a pretty quick reaction by Flying, considering that unit is invisible and he could not see it coming in. A 4th kill as well.
Also, a lot of lost mining time here.
This is true. I think that DT has definitely paid for itself. It is actually, you know, what could the Warp Prism save it if he gets back right now? No, there's no medevac. It's a rendezvous. It spots Zeta. DT went there.
If he had Ignite Afterburners, I think he probably could have saved that.
He probably would have. It was one of those situations you see in the movies where he's like, come, land, help me. And they're like, there's too many guys. We can't do it. Turn around. And then, you know, the guys left behind is...
I'm not going out unless I kill... Like, what's the saying? It's like, I'm taking as many with me as I can.
Yeah.
The DT knew he was doomed.
He was doomed. He took out a couple probes, though, lost mine time. I think that was a successful harass there. And Rain going again for that Stargate, just like in the last game. You know, the last game, I don't know how big a role the Void Rage played. It was more just that Immortal count versus Blink Stalkers. It really powered him through that. You know, but I think that was just because he had the opportunity. Oh, another DT in the main. Rain just keeps snagging him. This one, though, not doing as much mining time damage. Still getting a couple kills, though, and I think the idea here is he's keeping Flying back at base. Well, he's going to try to build up a nice Void Ray count. Here, though, he's going for the same composition as he did last game, the Immortal Void Ray composition, but there's a really big difference. I mean, he's definitely got a nice advantage in economy. You know, he's got all his tech structures, so it's safe to say he's ahead this game, but he's going to Immortal Void Ray versus an opponent who doesn't really have a whole ton of Blink Stalkers, right? If we look at Flying's army, it's predominantly Zealots, right? That's what Flying's making, and I'm a little bit worried because those Immortals just aren't particularly effective against Zealots. And if he loses the ground battle, sure, he can have a couple of Void Rays, but they can't take the whole army by themselves.
Yeah, that's a great point. It makes me wonder if Rain is going to start, you know, teching towards Colossus at the same time and go for that, you know, more heavy tech-based composition as far as, you know, mixing in a lot of Colossus in addition with the Voiders to help deal with that front line of Zealots, or he's going to have to start prioritizing Zealots of his own, and we see him starting that charge upgrade, so it looks like that's definitely on his mind. Also adding in a Forge here to start up with the upgrades. So I think Rain is very comfortable with his position, even setting up pylons on his opponent's side of the map here. Already has one at the top and at the middle right-hand side of the map, and that Warp Prism in near the main that's always going to be threatening. Rain is up 108 to 94 in supply.
He's up in supply, but he's moving out with a primarily Immortal ground army versus a primarily Zealot-based army. He's got 2 high energy sentries.
He's got force fields too.
Yeah. He's got 2 high energy sentries, so he can deal with the Zealots right now. But if an Archon enters the field, that's when he'll have big problems. DT warping into main, trying to distract him at the front while DT goes into main. There is a cannon completing there though, so that should mitigate some of the DT damage.
Probe is there, or Observer is there, so the Probe's going to try to surround the DT. He's going to get some kills before falling. Rain continuing to be so annoying with those DTs in his opponent's main base, making sure his opponent's harvesters are staying down low. He got 42 harvesters to 53 in favor of Rain. 20 workers killed so far in this game. Very impressive harassment here from Rain thus far.
A great job getting the economic advantage. I'm a little worried about the army composition, though. 3 Archons are now entering the field. Those are so powerful against basically everything. Oh, another massive warp in here into main, though, really trying to split Flying up. His goal here is that Flying sends 2 units back to the main. Then he can strike the front, but Flying very intelligently using the Photon Overcharge to help defend the main, so his army can stay at the front where it can be used to just really guard from the bigger threat, I guess you could say.
Yeah, nice move there from Flying, but again, Rain over and over again, he's just continuing with this harassment while his economy has been untouched. And that might cost Flying in the future. Hold on, there's going to engage me here. Force Field's going down. Time Warps here from Rain. Archon's trying to get up close and personal, but Void Rays getting a lot of damage done. Also activating that prismatic alignment ability. There's some Zealots flanking in from the right-hand side. Rain again had that reinforcing pylon right there. And this is what you mentioned before. The Zealots starting to carve up these Immortals, but I think Rain should have enough. No, he's going to have to retreat.
Too many charge offs for just Immortals. The Void Rays, of course, can't handle the additional warp and reinforcements of Flying. And, you know, the composition was a little bit of a problem there. Perhaps recalling out until he could build up a stronger composition would have been ideal. Because really, I mean, he kind of paid a price there. He had a big advantage. And now, of course, losing that battle, I don't know if he's losing because, of course, still has the economic advantage, but he's going to have to get this third base, and it might semi-equalize this game, at least for the near future.
Yeah, of course, I mean, throughout this game, Rain has been taking advantage after advantage after advantage, and just like that, he takes a pretty big step back. I mean, I still think...
5 small steps forward, 1 giant step back means who is ahead in the game?
I'm not sure, honestly.
I think it's very, very neck and neck at this point. Rain again going for some more harass. Flying with a couple of Stalkers and a giant warp in. Or no, that's... Wait, yeah, that's Flying's warp in.
Oh, okay, yeah, I was confused. The warper's in phase, right?
I think Flying should be fine here with the Mothership Core. And oh, wait, no, Rain's warping in. He's got DTs.
Oh, he does.
And there's no detection. Flying's got to get out of here. Oh, there's Observer comes in into play here. The Mothership Core should be to deal with this, but some more economic damage being dealt by Rain. I still can't tell who's ahead this game, though. Very, very neck and neck. Oh, and now look at Rain. He stopped building Immortals, so he's actually going to get a very useful composition as the game goes on. There's 3 ways to play Void Rays in PvP compositionally. Barring an opponent who has like pure Blink Stalkers, of course, then I mean you just want the Immortals. But versus a diverse standard Protoss opponent, right? 3 ways to play Void Rays is 1, you go a bajillion Void Rays and just try to overpower them, their anti-air ground forces with just pure Void Ray count, which can work once you get a good economy or if you turtle for a long time. The other way, of course, is to mass a ton of Charge-Offs and Archons. The Charge-Offs and Archons can break through their Zealot wall and then help the Void Rays deal with the opposing ground anti-air units. And of course, the last way is mix in those devastating Colossi beams, but that's a little bit of a higher tech option. And again, probably requires the same as option number 1, a little more economy. Given the economic situation Rain's at right now, where he's really, I mean, he's on 1 base now. With his third comes up, he'll be on 2 bases. I feel like he should just go charge at Archon to support his Void Rays. He keeps making Void Rays. He does have some Archons, and but he's got a decent number of Stalkers with him. There's some more Zealots coming in. As long as he sticks with Zealot-based, you know, additions from now on out, I think he's in great shape to go forward in this game. Flying with the third base as well, and Flying, he's got some Templar and Templar form in that army.
Has Storm been researched yet? No, it hasn't.
No, a little bit interesting. Because I mean, you can feedback Mothership Core and some sentries perhaps, but there are no sentries. And there isn't a Mothership Core either from Rain. So don't know the exact idea behind those quite yet.
Maybe he just forgot to morph them in Archons.
It could be, or he forgot to get Storm. Of course, Storm very, very effective against Void Rays.
Now, Upon identifying all these Archons, is there a typical reaction to be made? That's 7 Archons there. Is there something Rain should be doing as far as informing his unit composition to properly counter this composition he's seeing from his opponent?
You know, it's kind of funny, but you see a lot of Archons and you don't want to tech to Colossi. What you really want to do is just make a ton of Zealots. You know, there's the idea that Archons counter Zealots, but Zealots actually counter Archons as well, because if there's no meat in front of the Archons, they die so fast, Zealots will actually tear them to pieces. Zealots do more DPS than Archons per cost, even against biological, and they have more life per cost. So you really just have to make a Zealot wall big enough so that you can actually lose some to those Archons and still plow through. It can be scary though, and I mean that's what Rain's kind of doing. He's adding his own Archons and Zealots, which is exactly the ground composition he needs to try to keep those Archons away from him. Anything but Stalkers and Immortals is pretty much what you want to be adding on.
Right, looks like Flying is toying with the front door entrance to this third base of Rain. Rain adding in more and more Archons of his own. Positioning is going to be very important here. Who gets the superior concave, who can get more DPS involved in the battle will be very instrumental as far as how this next engagement is going to go. But that being said, Rain, or Flying I should say, backing up a bit and now turning around is pretty indecisive at this point.
You know, I actually kind of like Rain's position better and better. I mean, as the army scale up, the Voiders will do good. Just because, you know, yeah, Flying has all these Archons, but, you know, Rain's got a good number of Archons as well. And the difference between 5 Archons and 7 Archons isn't actually that big, but the difference between a whole bunch of Void Rays and no Void Rays is pretty big. I feel like Flying's going to need a lot of Psystorm. He's going to need, like, 8 High Templar in order to deal with this type of army that Rain has. And if he only has a couple Storms, Rain's ground army's big enough. By the time he can break through that ground army, the Voiders will have done their damage, and there won't be enough Flying left to to deal with the Flying threat.
Rain bringing a War Prism here into his opponent's main base once again. Interestingly enough, Flying's army is in the top left. I don't know what he's doing up there.
Pylon hunting, I'd imagine.
Okay,
it's kind of weird to send the whole army.
I thought for a second that Rain kind of juked, excuse me, his opponent with that War Prism. Like, he faked to the left, and then I think Flying might have seen that and be like, oh, he's going to the left somewhere. So maybe he was trying to track down the War Prism, and then it's all on his main base. I don't know.
Could have been. He did deal with that very well, though. I mean, these last couple of harasses haven't really done anything. And he's getting more Templar. You know, he's actually got a decent Templar count. If he can land really nice sets of Storms on Rain's army, he could still take this game, even though I feel like Rain's army is more powerful overall. Why don't we take a look at that army tab and see who actually has the more... Okay, so right now it looks like it's basically dead even. Rain with... actually, Rain with about 1,000. Never mind. My eyes are deceiving me. Rain's about 1,000 ahead in army power. And he's got 15 more food to produce. So he's going to be massively ahead when this engagement actually happens. And look at his concave. He's got the 4 Archons positioned behind the cannons. That means as the Zealots the cannons, Archons can shoot over, kill the Zealots, but they'll be safe from the enemy attacks as well.
Flying going for it right now, engaging into his opponent's fourth base. I should say Storm's going to be blanketed underneath these Void Rays, but there's the prismatic alignment from the Void Rays, doing a lot of damage to the army here from Flying, and I think Rain is going to take this battle very decisively as Flying finds all of his stuff simply melting away.
Just a great defensive arc by Rain there. Flying ran right into it, and you can't find that type of arc. I mean, this game's all but over with that Void Ray and Archon count by Rain. He's got a 70 food advantage. He can just push through, destroy the 4th, if maybe even kill the 3rd as well. Actually, no, he's going to go straight to natural. GG by Flying there.
Wow. Another great game.
It was. You know, I feel Flying had an equal stake in that game until the very end. And perhaps instead of charging in where the Nexus and the cannons were blocking and the arc was so good, it's funny because with Psionic Storm, he actually has the long-range unit. Yeah. So he could Psystorm, and he had so many Storms, he could whittle down Rain with Psystorm, and Rain would have to charge out.
Rain would be the one who would like have to attack his opponent.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it kind of would have been kind of like Zergis' Fungals, right? You just kind of just force them to come to you, or they're eventually going to die. I mean, Psystorms are pretty painful.
Yeah, we saw how good Void Rays were in that engagement as well. And again, the positioning from Rain, very key in being able to take that last battle so decisively. And of course, talking about PvP, that last battle, well, not necessarily last battle, but the main engagements are very important as far as positioning, as far as which direction the game is going to go. If you can win one of those decisively, there's not that much comeback ability in the game. So nice play there from Rain. He's going to go up 2-1 in this best of 5 series, which means Rain is 1 win away from getting that qualification spot at the Winter Championships in Dallas, Texas on March 15th. That was game number 3, guys. Game 4 coming up between Rain and Flying. Don't go anywhere.